Three women, a Jewish Israeli, a Muslim Palestinian, and a Christian Palestinian, share their personal stories. Their words are their own truths. Jerusalem Women Speak exposes audiences in the United States to the perspectives of women working for a peaceful and just resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Hi, my name is Julia Chaitin, and I'm from Israel. I live in a kibbutz. It's called Kibbutz Urim, and it's located in the Negev, which is the desert part, the southern part of Israel. My kibbutz is located, I'm about a 15-20 minute drive from the Gaza border, so I'm in a region that's called the surrounding Gaza region, and I teach at a college. It's called the Sapir Academic College. I'm on faculty in the social work department. Our college is located right next to Sderot. Sderot is the town, it's about 20,000 people, and it's the town that has been the brunt of Qassam rocket attacks since 2000. The Sapir College is located directly next to Sderot. The college is 1 to 2 kilometers away from Gaza. So I live and I work in an area that is considered to be, and that is in a direct range of Qassam rockets. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. It's a wonderful area. In the spring, we have beautiful wildflowers and we have beautiful parks, and people come to visit. They used to come to visit more often. They come less now because of the Qassam rockets. I want to tell you a little bit about how I got to the kibbutz, how I got to Israel, and what it's like to be a peace activist, not to be in favor of peace, to know it's the only way, to know that my survival is dependent upon it, my children's survival is dependent upon it, to live in an area that has only known war, and sort of the complexities involved in that. I grew up in America. I was born in New York. I grew up in Detroit. I am Jewish. I've always known that I'm Jewish. I've never known anything else. But my home was not religious. It was secular. Our Judaism was always connected to the culture, the history, and the values of the Jewish people. I was always taught, my mother, my father, I went to what we call a shul in the afternoon after public school, went to the Shalom Aleichem and the Workman Circle schools, and where we were taught that Judaism embodied the values of egalitarianism, democracy, human rights, dignity. This was the Judaism that I was always taught. I never knew that there could be a different kind of Judaism, and that's what I carry through in my life today. Throughout my life, we also learned about Israel, and when I was 15, I joined a youth movement called Habonim. And at that time, the idea, Habonim means the builders, and the idea was to make aliyah, to immigrate to Israel. And not only to immigrate to Israel, but to immigrate to kibbutz. Kibbutz is a communal kind of life. Most of them are rural. And the idea was to live the life that was socialistic, democratic, and had equal rights for all. So that's what I did. And I moved to Israel when I was 19. I got married, I moved to the kibbutz when I was 20, and I've lived there my whole life. My kids, I have 3 children. They were all born, raised on the kibbutz, and we've lived there ever since. I've always been involved in peace activism and in social justice. However, in the olden days when I was much younger and a little less wiser, I don't know how wise I am today, but at least I'm a little more wiser today, I think, a little wiser today. I really thought that all that we Israeli Jews wanted was peace, but the Arabs wanted our demise. They wanted to throw us into the sea. They wanted to kill us, and we were always the ones who were extending our hands in peace, but being met by war and being met by terror. Over the years, I've learned that the story is much more complex than that, and that everything that I was taught and everything that was in the mass media, it was very one-sided. So yes, I think there have been many initiatives, and I think that there are many Israelis who have worked towards peace, but there have been many things we have done which are the exact opposite of peace. One of the most painful things in my life has been, I've lived in Israel since 1972, so I came to Israel after the occupation. My children were born after the occupation. So we've never actually known life in Israel without the occupation. And I cannot, in my mind, reconcile how we can be a democratic, free, peace-loving state and occupy millions of people. We pulled out of the Gaza Strip in 2005. And what's happened, however, is that in Gaza, even though the army is no longer there, they're completely sealed off. They're sealed off on all sides. There's basically a siege going on. And in order for me to have my freedoms, they have to be locked up. I consider this wrong. I consider my freedom then to be a false freedom, not one that I really, if my freedom depends on them being locked up, then I ask myself, then how really free am I? Being at the Sapir College and having Qassam rocket attacks is something that is very difficult. There are days I have to convince myself in the morning to get up and actually drive to the college, because when I leave my kibbutz and I drive to the college, if I drive one way, within 8 minutes I am really in direct range of Qassam rockets. If I drive the other way, so I have a few more minutes, but I often have to really work myself up to say, okay, get in the car and go, don't be scared. So I kind of work through denial. I hope that when I get to the college and I'm actually parking my car, I'll be okay, because the people who have been killed and injured at the college, it was actually when they were getting in and out of their cars until you can get to a safe place. And I hope that when I'm there during the day, we won't have that many Qassam rocket attacks or any. Instead, I teach psychology, I teach research, but a lot of times instead of teaching, I find myself comforting students. I comfort them so that I can go on with my day. It helps me get through the day. With this, so even though I find it also morally wrong that Hamas and other splinter groups are attacking us with Qassam rockets, because we too, just as the people in Gaza and the people in the West Bank deserve to have a free life, we too deserve to have a free life. I find it absolutely abhorrent that students can't go to school and that teachers can't teach without having Qassam rocket attacks, but the answer is not the occupation, the answer is not the siege. The only answer is through negotiations. The only answer is talking to our enemies. We know that we only negotiate with our enemies. We can never choose our enemies, but those are the people we need to talk to. So this is what we need to do, for as difficult as it is, because otherwise peoples on both sides of the border, innocent people, are going to continue to suffer, and none of us deserve that. As part of understanding that reaching a peaceful, a nonviolent end to the conflict between the Israelis and certainly in the Gaza region, I belong to a group that's called Other Voice. Other Voice is a completely grassroots organization. It was formed by people who live in Sderot, and people in the region, and people who work at the Sapir College. And we're about 70 people, old and young, men and women, students, pensioners, religious, non-religious, but we all have one goal and one vision, and this vision is that we're going to give another voice, a different kind of voice, which is that the military options do not work. That when we invade them and they send Qassam rockets, all we're doing is continuing this cycle of violence. So what we do is we meet, every week we meet in our region, the Israeli side, because we're not allowed, we can't go into Gaza and the people from Gaza can't come out. And we sit and we discuss activities that we want to do, and every week we call them on the phone, we call people on the phone. It's kind of a surrealistic picture. We sit in a little circle and we have a cell phone in the middle and we put it on speaker and we speak to people. And we just talk about what's going on in our daily lives. So far we had a bike happening. We rode on our side of the border. Gazans came from their side of the border. We talked by speakerphone, by cell phone through speakers about the wish for peace. We tried to send Ramadan greetings. In the end, we couldn't get them transferred, so we put them up on our website, and we got in touch with people, and so they're on our website. And now what we're doing is we're planning to have actually face-to-face meetings. We know this is going to be very difficult, but we've decided we're going to go for it. We're working on 3 fronts. One is an academic front, to have an academic conference for a day. Another is to bring people, families who have been hurt on both sides, and to have them meet And the other thing is just maybe to have some kind of even lunch. We don't care. The whole idea is just that we're saying it's the civil and human rights of people on both sides of the border to meet. So that's what we've been doing. And even though it's very difficult, we know that there's no other way. We have a website. It's www.othervoice.org. All children, all Jewish children in Israel at 18 have to go into the army. It's compulsory. Men usually do approximately 3 years and women do 2 years. So all of my children were in the army. Even though soldiers go willingly, I still think of them as children. They're 18, 19, 20 years old, and I think it's our responsibility as the adults that we put them in those impossible positions. This is something that's very hard to me. I consider myself a pacifist. I do understand that we need an army. I don't think that the goal of our army is to occupy innocent civilians.
My name is Inas Mudaffar. I'm a Palestinian refugee, Jerusalemite, and I have 2 different travel documents. One is given to me, as the rest of the Jerusalemite, by the Israeli state, and it says travel document. And inside, my nationality is Jordanian. So with this travel document, I am issued a visa to stay in Jerusalem that I should renew every 3 years or every 2 years, depends on your travel document. I'll tell you an interesting story after I show you my second kind of document, that it's a passport given to me by the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, and it says that I live in Jerusalem and I was born in Jerusalem, but it does not enable me to live in Jordan because I don't have a national number. So if I want to go to Jordan, I need a kind of a permission that will allow me to enter Jordan and to visit my family members. Going back to the interesting story about the travel document, the Israeli travel document. I used to study film directing in Egypt, in Cairo, and one day the travel document expired, so I had to renew my travel document. I head to the Israeli embassy in Cairo, and to my surprise, the officer there told me, I cannot renew your travel document and only able to give you a tourist visa. I was really shocked and surprised, and I didn't know what to say to him, but I said, this is not possible. He said, I cannot do it here. This is it. You just need a tourist visa, single one-entry visa to Israel. Then you go to the Ministry of Interior and they issue a travel document for you. That incident was a reminder for me for my status and my family's status. We've been living in Jerusalem for so many years, through generations, and that officer reminded me we are not citizens, and therefore as residents we have to renew our visa permit to continue living in our city, Jerusalem. All right, so now I'll go on about my experience of the first Intifada, which I remember very clearly from school. We actually sat at home for about 9 months. We didn't go to school because it was really hard. We had curfews many times. The grocery shops and other shops used to open between 9 and 12 p.m., possibly 3 times a week. So it was really hard to shop. It was really hard to get the main basic things that you need. So my mom started planting vegetables in our garden, and we had like a storage room that we haven't before had. So during that time, we had like a strong tie with our neighbors. We used to study together. We had a kind of different schools. But we used to study, for example, second grade together, third grade together, and our teachers used to be like from high school. So it was a really interesting period of time, but it was really hard period of time too, because we had to do the exams at the end of the year, and many of us found in that a great difficulty. So as a student during the first Intifada, I was, I think, in 5th elementary at that time, and then I went to Egypt. And after that, in 2000, I came back to Jerusalem. A few months later, the second Intifada broke up, and it was really hard period of time because I also worked at that time as a journalist, producer with major media organizations, and I happened to see different things throughout the West Bank. After exiting Jenin refugee camp, I actually happened to be with one of the journalists there, and the moment that I lay an eye on this valley, complete destruction, and the smell that is really hard to describe, but they said it's the smell of death. I excused myself and I said, I cannot walk down here, I'm so sorry. And I went back to the border, crossed the checkpoint to the green line, and I saw Israeli soldiers and their girlfriends hugging and dancing and stepping on the Palestinian flag, on the tank, and they were like singing and saluting. And I told the cameraman who was waiting for us on the other side, I said, please capture this. And he said, Inas, this is not news. From that moment, I felt that there's so many things that many people in the world do not see. Celebrating the death of Palestinians in this sickening way, the reality of this occupation. Nothing has changed, although we had like Oslo agreement and many peace agreements were in the process of being developed, but they failed. But peace is not the solution. The solution is justice. The solution is to end the occupation of Palestine. The solution is to establish a state for the Palestinian people where they could have actually equal rights and move freely and live in dignity. It's quite an experience to actually try and share your personal experience with American audience. And I don't want them to only learn from me, but I'm also looking forward to learn from them.
My name is Lucy Taljiye. I'm Palestinian. I'm coming from a place called Bethlehem. Bethlehem, the little town of Bethlehem. I guess it's ring the bell for all the world that this is the place where Jesus was born. The place supposed to be the peaceful place, but unfortunately with not peaceful actions that happening in this small place. The first Intifada, which means the uprising that happens in Palestine. After that 2 years, May 28th, we were sleeping early morning at 3 in the morning. We just heard the noise knocking on the door in a very brutal way. We found out that the soldiers surrounding all our houses, even on the top of the roof. They enter our house, they ask about my 2 brothers. They want to arrest them. For what reason? Nobody knows. My father just started talking to the soldiers, please give them a chance to get their shoes, jackets, nothing. And then my father, he's a very nervous man, he started negotiating with the soldiers. For what reason? He said, we have the order, just the order, follow the order. This is what you have to do. After that, there's a soldier, he came to my father, and with his bow weapons, he hurt my dad in his head, and his blood started bleeding from his head. Unfortunately, on the spot, he got like a stroke. We took him to the hospital, and he spent like 20 days after that. He was looking during that day that he will have the chance to see my 2 brothers before his funeral. Unfortunately, we tried to contact the Red Cross. This was the right place to contact, but we didn't have the chance to get the positive result from them. During 2001, it was the invasion of Bethlehem. This is one of the most horrible 40 days that I have lived in my life. It was like just staying in your houses, just hearing the clashes, the shooting, the tanks, choppers. This is only things that you can hear. After that, I said to myself, this is the world that I want to live in. This is not the world. I want to live in peace. I want to live in freedom, dignity. Where can I find it? I said to myself, okay, I might, like the best possible way to get to know what's the conflict about. So I entered to Bethlehem University to religious studies because I was thinking that the conflict is religion. It's conflict not a land, it's conflict about religion. After finishing my study, I discovered, unfortunately, it's not religion. It's a land occupied and oppressed. During my studies, I was looking for centers around Bethlehem area, giving like education and raising awareness on nonviolence and peace building. Civil society, democracy, what does it mean? I wasn't believing that, not at all, to be frank. I just entered this center just to see what does it mean. And is it possible to have a positive result that by nonviolence resistant you can get your country? During my involvement there, I found out that lots. One of the main cases that I was involved, which is South Africa, and also Gandhi with the British, how through the nonviolence he achieved the successful result in India. So those main stories that affects, and I have a lot of impacts from these stories. I was involving in their program. 3 years, I never met any Israelis. After 3 years, my directors, he's been convinced me long time ago that I should participate in these things. At least, if you think that they are your enemy, you have to sit with them. How you can transfer from enemy and hatred to love? I said, maybe I will, you convinced me, but I'm not convinced yet. After a while, I participated in a conference, and it was the first time for me meeting Israelis. It was like around 2004. It was the first time. I felt that during the meeting with them, we could change, we could do things together. In order to building walls, we have to build bridges between the Palestinians and the Israelis. What we can do as people, like this question have been raised in most of our tours. What we can do for you? I told them, like, first of all, I'm advising you to dig for the information. Don't depend only on the media. Media is give you just the highlight. You have to go and get deep. Go into the Middle East and research, and then decide what you want. And this is my quotes, like, I don't want the people to be pro-Israelis or pro-Palestinian, but be pro-justice. Actually, I'm working in an organization called WIAM Center for Conflict Resolution. WIAM is a grassroots organization. It's been founded in 1994. From the name, it's a classical Arabic name, which means the harmony and the friendship. And they've been working on cross-cultural project. And they have like 3 dimensions. They are working on the local and the national and international level. The international level, especially, we are working on networking and advocacy. On the local level, we are trying to raise the awareness of the importance of human rights, civil society, and nonviolence resistance. We have different programs for women and children. My parts that I'm doing, I'm responsible for the women department. What we do there, it's the same field, working in human rights and democracy, civil society. Also, we are trying to lobbying, also trying to let them be decision maker involved in the legislative council and also in the local council and municipalities. Also, I found out that it's not enough. I'm living in a place, there's lots of violation of human rights. Do I know about human rights? Not much. That's why I decided to go in the fields and do my master's degree in human rights and democracy. Because I felt there's lack of democracy, lots of violations. I went to Birzeit University. It's just 2 kilometers from Bethlehem to Birzeit. And in the meanwhile, regular time, you can go there for 1 hour. 1 hour and a half, you reach your class. But because I'm Palestinian, I have to go through different roads, which we call it the Fire Valley. The Fire Valley, I guess from the name, you you will think about it, it's a very dangerous place. And actually, it is a very dangerous place. It's all just like that, and it's horrible. I told my mother once, I'm afraid that one day I'm not going to get my certificate. You will get my death certificate because it's a very dangerous place. My family and all the people around me, they've been like saying, Lucy, that's not you. You are involving in things you are not convinced. I said, I was. The beginning I wasn't convinced, but now I would like to convince you to follow this track, because within this track you can exist. Non-violence resistance is the most important things for me. To get end of occupation, to live in dignity, and that's what I want from the world. Even I feel that once Gandhi said, peace is not the way, peace is the only way. And if we as the Palestinians and Israelis, we decided that we want peace, we have to act for it, not just talk. Talks without work and action will never end. Thank you.